Hello and welcome back to The Motivating Force. Joining me, as always, we have host Sway, an aspiring Marine Corps officer who's finishing ROTC and his bachelor's program in the criminal justice field. And myself, Justin, a motivational speaker who's always more than excited to share wonderful ideas and topics with you guys. Today, we're going to keep it simple. We're talking about a very easy trait. We're going to put some respect on that, some R-E-S-P-E-C-K. Our thinking as a society is getting so backwards, and we have set a lot of new rules with our backwards thinking. When this becomes our new normal, we can spend a lot of time trying to figure out where we went wrong or why things don't work the way they used to. And there are probably 1,000,001 points that I could pick for this topic, but I'm going to focus on one of the few things that's probably holding back a lot of people from success in their lives. And that, of course, is on mutual respect.
I think one of the biggest things that can go hand in hand with this topic is, if people haven't seen it already, last week's episode. And when we talked about the point specifically about how even celebrities, even people that we idolize, stars, actors, whatever it is, we are all just human beings. It's just another person. So we have to be able to, understand that the person behind the counter at the bank or behind the McDonald's drive-through speaker is just another person. We should be giving each and every one of those people the same amount of respect.
I mean, it does work as a pretty good callback to that because you gotta have that human element here in this for sure. Where we're kind of going with this topic here with this respect and where people might have this wrong, it can kind of seem like a form of entitlement. And that's super commonplace in today's world, but I'm going to do my best to refrain from using that word because as commonplace as it is, it's kind of ironic because as soon as you mention the word entitlement to people, it seems like nobody has it, right? Nobody's entitled to anything when you straight up ask them,
That's why you're saying that there's no one that's entitled or feels like they're entitled?
Yeah.
That's incredible. I want to live in that world.
Yeah, it's great. But if you ask every single person, they'll all tell you no. And somehow we live in the world we live in, right?
Interesting.
But anyways, this is going to have some ties in here with entitlement. So bear that in mind. But I'm going to refrain from using that. And as far as the way this conversation is going to go, let's just see where some of us could have gone down the wrong path. Respect is not a straightforward thing. So it's kind of weird in today's society because the way we spin everything around. So right now, it seems like respect is straight as an arrow, which is how most things should be. So this is where we're kind of left wondering where we went wrong. But that's because there's a lot wrong with respect being a straight and narrow line.
Well, it's almost like you kind of have to also understand, I don't want to say hierarchy, but almost like a chain of command, right? The people that were here before us, being our elders, our parents, our parents' parents, our grandparents, and the generations basically that came before have lived so much more life, experiences, world events that we have no idea or have no comparison to, like being World War I, World War II, whatever that case may be. We should be able to have some sort of respect to them. But it seems like the later or the coming generations to come, mine included, I don't want to say that my generation is perfect, far from it, but it seems like that respect is just getting so disconnected. Like they have no respect for elders. They have almost like a hatred for them. But it's like, why can't you learn from them? They're old. They've lived their entire lives. They have so much to give, to teach, and you're not willing to hear it because you're not willing to give that respect.
Yeah, I mean, I like that point a lot because we do kind of look at it and look at people who have been on this world, been on this earth for 70 years, like our grandparents. And then we have the audacity to tell them that they're wrong and that that's not how the world works.
Yeah, it's almost like that alone is being entitled.
Right. It is. It is. No, but it's taking a lot away from our society to remove that respect And that is definitely one of those areas where we suffer, you know?
And again, it's not like respect, we're saying it as you have to listen and do everything you're told by that person. It's the respect as in, you know, if Justin's somebody that I don't like, right? I still give him the respect that he deserves as a human being. You know, as a person living a life, he probably just went down a different life path that I did, and now we don't see eye to eye. But I still have to give him the respect if he has to tell me something. If he's a commanding officer, if he's my manager or something, I'm not going to like you, but you're going to have to tell me to do something. And I can give you the respect by not fighting you, by listening to you, by not mocking you, by not talking behind your back. But we still don't get along, but I still just give you the respect that you deserve as a human being.
You can use up so much more of your time being disrespectful and not giving people that decent human courtesy, right? And it actually takes more effort from you to be an ass to that person.
Yeah.
Just like straight up, right? So if you have to listen to people who you don't like, one, you should probably work on fixing that attitude towards that person, because I got bad news for you. You still have to listen to what they have to say, right? You still have to do what they have to do. So when you already don't like them and now you're eliminating that respect element to it, you're making your life 10 times harder than it needs to be.
Yeah. First thing that came up, think about teenagers talking to security guards, let's say at a school, right? The security guard's gonna yell at the kid, and there's two kinds of people. The one kid that goes, yes, sir, yes, officer, and walks away and does whatever the hell he was told because he has some kind of whatever baseline respect for an authority figure, right? And then there's the other kid that's going to spend 20 minutes arguing, getting up in the cop's face or the security officer and making a whole to-do about it.
Right.
20 minutes of energy and time and, you know, just focus energy that he could be spending on something else that he just wasted because he was just intentionally trying to be a prick.
Right. Whereas that first kid is already doing something completely different and already moved on.
Exactly.
Not even thinking about it again, right? No, I totally get that. And I mean, that is a very strong point towards this, but I am going to dive into a kind of secondary element to this, because when you do talk about that respect, that human, decent courtesy you're going to give to every single person you meet, it is kind of the core of this second point. And that second point being that as an individual, we need to be able to give 100% of our respect to everyone we meet and let them give us a reason to take it away. Our respect towards others is something that doesn't have to be earned. It only needs to be earned back. It's a very key element there. I hope you guys caught that. And the simplest reason for this is you don't know the other person. You don't know who they are, what they've done, what they've accomplished, what their intentions are. That security guard could honestly be looking out for your best interest. They're just trying to see you not get hurt. And you're going to go and be rude to them for what? They're looking after you, right? And on a more serious note, as like an adult going through life, right? I would rather be the person who like accidentally gave too much respect to some like punk ass kid compared to being the person who accidentally disrespected like the Queen of England. Yeah. Right? And all for what? A show of power, a show of dominance?
Pride, ego.
Right.
Yeah. And I've heard something similar when I guess it's like trust or like I'll like you, or what is it? There's two types of people. There's optimist, pessimist, and then either the optimist goes, I like you until you give me a reason not to like you, or the pessimist goes, I don't like you until you give me a reason to like you.
Right.
But if you're on that pessimist side, you're not going to want to even hear or see the reason or receive the example of them that they're trying to give you for you to like them. Whereas if you're an optimist, if you're giving the trust, if you're giving the appreciation or the respect to the person, you're more willing to be given the example in return on why you are right for respecting them, as opposed to, like you said, disrespecting the Queen of England.
Right.
Just because you were trying to be the cool kid, just because you were trying to be the top dog, when you're not. Sorry.
It's true. It is true. And I think that is an issue with that mutual respect is people kind of have this like They think they sit on that higher pedestal than everybody else, which is why you have to earn the respect. And in life, it's quite the opposite, especially when you're around new people, especially when you're in a new environment. You are absolutely nobody. You get to a new job, a new position. Even if you get to a new job and you start off as a manager, you are still a nobody in that place.
Yeah.
Nobody knows who you are. Nobody knows your accomplishments. They don't know anything about you. So for you to demand respect from everybody and feel like you don't have to dish it out, it's kind of crappy, man. Yeah. It's kind of crappy. It doesn't take you far. And like you're saying with the optimist and pessimist thing, it's very true that you're going to have this type of reflection. So as far as like the pessimist goes, you're saying, oh, well, I don't like people until they give me a reason to like them. Well, say they do get to like somebody, but they're so focused on disliking people that as soon as that person does one thing wrong,
they're shutting them out completely.
They're like, oh, you proved me right. I don't like you.
Yeah.
And it goes the same way with respect. If you're just going to be disrespectful towards everybody you meet or indifferent towards everybody you meet, as soon as they do something that is any level of questionable, you're going to be like, oh, this person's disrespecting me. Yeah. Because you already know you're kind of giving that type of attitude towards everybody else. Yeah.
Which, going back to it, is like the highest form of entitlement. Because then you think you are this higher supreme being entitled to everybody else's time and energy, but then they can't be a human. They can't just mess up. They can't do something questionable.
See, and that's where I like how on this part of the episode I said, I'm going to refrain from using the word entitled.
Oh, sorry.
But I appreciate your input.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's true, though. It's great. But getting into the part that everybody hates, and this is why respect is not a straight and narrow line, and where we tend to get it wrong today, and where a lot of the newer generations get it wrong, including a lot of people in my generation. We still need to earn the respect of others. Because again, if you're in new environments, new situations, especially, and you're the nobody, everybody's going to be very questionable of you. So it's kind of ironic because it's not the golden rule, right?
Yeah.
It's doing to others as you'd have them doing to you. And it's not that case when it comes to respect. In respect, it's you're going to have to be the one to give 100% of it and not expect an ounce of it back.
Yeah.
And that's super hard. It's super humbling, and it will take you so much further in life because it's going to amplify so many other characteristics. It will draw the respect out of other people for you, not to be expecting that respect in return when you give it.
Yeah. And you know what's the best example that I thought of when you were talking about this? The military.
Yeah.
When you go to boot camp. Let's ask Mason. Let's call him up. Hey, Mason. No, but when you are, especially in boot camp or basic training, whatever you want to call it, you have to respect every single person there. But you know from the beginning, nobody's going to respect you. You are going to be a maggot. You're going to be just getting walked on all over the place. It's intentional, so then you do build up this kind of discipline and respect for the process, I guess you can call it. But it was the first thing that I could think of not expecting them to respect you. Because I'm sure, you can watch videos online of people trying to demand respect and they just get shut down. They get torn to pieces. It's like, who are you? You're just a little kid. Just came out of high school. You're going to talk to me? I've been in the army for 30 years. Nah.
It applies to civilian life.
But imagine if civilians could do that.
Right.
If civilians were like I mentioned at the beginning, grandparents going up to little kids and like, no, you don't get to talk to me like that. And then putting our generation in our place. And
see, I think that's what worked well for maybe some of the older generations. Because when you go back to who their grandparents were and, the ones that did serve in, Korea and World War I and all these things, right? These hardcore things going on in the world. And definitely not soft times.
Ooh.
And when they would be disrespectful like that, grandpa who came back from these wars, we'll smack the hell out of that kid, right? No matter what age.
I just realized what happened too. They don't have cell phones going off at all hours of the day.
Well, okay, because see, the technology side of it today does play a role in it, I think.
Plays a big role because now that's just shutting down everything I just mentioned. Because you can't have other people confronting people just from disrespect.
Right.
So you kind of can't put them in their place like the grandparents were confronted by the great-grandparents.
Yeah. Well, I think our language...
they won't get canceled immediately.
Yeah.
Or blown out of proportion.
Yeah. Our language and communication on things like social media and on the internet, it's definitely hard because it is that change of pace where you can be any type of person you want, because if
nobody
you're the biggest dick in the world, nobody can do anything about it. And a lot of people take advantage of that, and they use it as forms of stress relief and other things, right? Just super unhealthy things, right? And with technology being that anti-human element in the first place, at least as we believe here on the show, it definitely goes to show how mutual respect could easily be turned upside down. I do like that technology side of it, but I do want to stay away from it because I think that's a whole other topic, and I think we've hit on that a lot on previous episodes.
No, you're right. I'll never bring it up again.
I doubt that.
You're right.
I'm right about that too. Right? But, this does come back down to the classic side of comparing yourself to others. And it's another great example of why you shouldn't do it. So it's really that simple, Kind of the catchy point of this is that the average person isn't going to be seeking out greater opportunities in life. So obviously, they're not going to be respecting everybody they meet. Because if you just go around and treat everybody disrespectfully when you first meet them, and you have this mentality that you're already on this pedestal and that they need to earn your respect because you're magically somebody better than the next person, nobody, absolutely nobody, will be there to open the door of opportunity for you. But when you're more that humble person, you have these stronger foundation, the stronger characteristics to yourself, and you can give every single person you meet 100% of your respect. That random person you meet that, again, you don't know their life story, but this person is amazing, they've accomplished so much, and they can change your life in an instant, and you unknowingly give that person all the respect in the world, all of a sudden, you're going to find new doors of opportunity opening up left and right for you.
Yeah, it's crazy because I'm such a fan of the previous generations. Like, I've been told before, oh, you're an old soul, whatever. I don't care. But like my grandfather, I appreciate his stories. I appreciate his experiences. And I've mentioned it before when we talked about just helping out or being more empathetic to the little old lady walking down the street that wanted to talk to you because she had no phone or nothing to distract herself from waiting in line. So she decided to talk to you instead of, like you were being on a phone. You give her that time, you give her that respect. Just hear her out, just be empathetic, just be in that conversation with her. She could give you so much more knowledge on what life has to offer than your Instagram scrolling for 15 minutes. Maybe she went down the same exact path that you were going down. You're in some rut that you're in your life and you don't know how to get out, so you're distracting yourself with social media. You give her some time out of your day. You give her a little bit of respect, the respect that she deserves as a human being, and then she'll tell you her story and how it compares to yours, and then the choice that you should be making to correct it all, and then find success, find happiness.
It's good because it's almost like prioritizing your respect, right? And understanding that, like, what's going to take more priority in your life. And obviously now we have so much more addictions to technology that things like Instagram and Facebook and whatnot, it holds such a high priority that people standing right in front of you mean nothing to you. So you can be inadvertently disrespectful without even paying attention to it,
By not paying attention to it.
Yeah, and I think a great kind of example that I'd have for that is like up at my shop, right? In the garage we're so busy all the time. The phone, it never stops ringing. Mm-hmm. Like it truly, honestly doesn't, right? And people will be coming in the door, especially say like right at 9 o'clock, right when we open. We've got 10 different people trying to call us. We've got all kinds of people walking in the door, right? And I'll be sitting there talking to somebody who walked in. The phone's going off the hook, and they're like, oh, well, you can answer that real quick. And I'm like, no, they can call back. You got in your car, drove all the way up here to get my attention. to talk to me right now. That person is still laying in their bed, rolled over, picked up the phone, seeing if they can come in today.
Yeah.
And you're standing here right in front of me. I'm going to help you first, because then they can call right back. You've already spent 30 minutes or so
in traffic,
coming up here trying to get my attention. I'm going to give you that attention you deserve right now. I'm sure I'll have plenty of people tell me how I'm wrong about how to attract customers to a business and all that. But we're so busy, I don't care about that. So, the point being...
No, but you're right, because I've had multiple times when, let's say, just at a restaurant or fast food place that you'll... Like, Chipotle is a great example. I've mentioned Chipotle last week as well for some reason. I'm hungry.
I see that.
No, when you get there, right, and then you're next in line, and then you're about to start telling them your order, and they pull the slip off the wall because of an online order, and then they just start making it without even acknowledging you.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, man.
It hurts a little bit, doesn't it?
What are you doing to me? Like, I'm so excited to just finally tell you what I want to eat.
Yeah.
But the guy that's, 20 minutes away, 10 minutes down the road, is not even in the building, you're going to just start making the...
Yeah.
I get it, but...
I
understand your point. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. That's the thing.
I'm just trying to get people not to jump on there, because I'm sure you've experienced it at Chipotle or another restaurant.
Yeah, that's a great point, and it's true. And all that does come down to that mutual respect. And mutual respect in this episode seems to be synonymous with just decency towards other humans. And that's all we're asking you to give 100% of the time. Let other people prove you wrong. Don't make them try to prove you right. Don't make them earn that respect right away. Just give it. Give it all you've got, because you never know who you're going to meet, who can change your life. And like I said, hopefully you'd have the same idea where you'd rather be respectful to some punk and not accidentally disrespectful to the queen.
All right, so respectfully, Justin, I feel like I'm going to end this episode for us. And if you guys want to check us out over at Anchor, feel free to do so. Plenty of options for you guys to check out on videos. Unfortunately, it's only audio, so you can listen to the entire length of the episode without cuts on any of the platforms that Anchor disperses our videos onto. Spotify, Breaker, Google Podcast, any of those, or directly from anchor.fm.com or anchor.fm.
Anchor.fm, that's it.
There you go. Or the app. You can also check that app. And speaking of apps, social medias will be linked in the description down below. So if you want to get a hold of either one of us, you want to pitch us some ideas for topics, anything you want to hear our opinions on, go ahead, find those links down in the description below. All of our videos come out Mondays and Wednesdays at 8 a.m. EST. And until next time, guys, go on and get.